Alright, so I'm going to get back to making videos. So I said I was going to do videos every other day until the end of December. Well, last Saturday, whatever it was, December 8th, 9th, something like that, that came to a screeching halt when I dropped a Curtis cab windshield on my toe and broke my toe. So I am pretty much banned from the shop until I am out of my walking boot. So that would happen last Saturday. Today is Wednesday, so probably a couple more weeks before I can actually do anything out of the shop. So what I figured I would do is come back to do some of my inside stuff now that I actually have time to do some of this stuff because I don't have anything to do in the shop. So we're going to go back to John Deere history. Where I left off for the last couple nights, I've gathered together all of my 140 and 110 stuff from late 1967, 1968. So the sales bulletin you have on your screen here was put out on September 22nd, 1967 to lawn and garden dealers. And it outlines the new 140 hydrostatic John Deere garden tractor. 12 horsepower, as it says right there, 12 horsepower, 140 hydrostatic tractor. This was basically to compete with Cub Cadet. And shortly after they released, and I'll go through the whole brochure here in just a minute for the whole sales bulletin. Shortly after they released this brochure, they came out with this, or shortly after they released the sales bulletin, they came out with this brochure. This brochure dates from 10 of 67, so October of 67, and it was marketed as a 140. You can roughly own a 140 for 8 weeks worth of wages of one good handyman. So this outlines a lot of the stuff that you can get in a 140. Another one of these very similar brochures is like this one right here. This is a brochure from 68, I believe. Yeah, 11 of 68, if you can see that. So it's got the, whoever did it, P&W Automotive Service from Ottumwa, Iowa, is the one that released that brochure. You can also tell differs in dates is because of the four-legged deer emblem and the two-legged downward leaping deer for 69. I guess they were getting ready in 69. So anyway, so sales bulletin. What does the 140 have that's really special? Let's kind of flip through this real quick. Generally I leave everything in plastic as much as I can. So it goes through all the features, tire options, turning radius, equal turning radius right and left, which was a big move considering the round fenders previous. If you remember on round fenders, that PTO sticks down on the right hand side as you're looking forward, which blocks the right hand turns. It means you can turn tighter left than you can right because you don't have that PTO on there. Tire options, very similar to what I've already talked about with round fenders in some of my round fender videos. And then it goes through all the other specifications. The Kohler K301AS engine, 3,800 RPM or 1,200 RPM, 12 horsepower, all when it's all said and done. And this is actually a very simple sheet here. Some of the attachments are covered in later sheets. And then it does cover the 48 rotary mower for the 140 tractors. This is the first time you see the mule drive down on the front of the machine, like you have up through all the way through the open frame 300 series, so the 318, 332, 322, so on and so forth. So the 48 rotary mower, very similar to the previous 48 or 46 mower that was on the 112s. Also, you have the introduction of the 49 snow thrower, which continued through the open frame 300 series. Now, if you'll notice that the first 5,000 of the Model 49 snow throwers did not have shear pins, and then after that they were shear pins. Also, they were green. The auger was green. A couple other differences there. But, I mean, you can see how similar the 49 is. I mean, you think about it, something that was released in 1968, you basically carried all the way through 1992 in terms of manufacturing. Oh, I think there's one more page in there. And then the 54 blade. We all know about the ubiquitous 54 blade. Very similar, same attachment points as the 300 series. So this is really when you saw Deere get into the lawn and garden line, then the 33 rotary tiller. This is the upgrade from the 31. That is the 30 previously it was on the round fenders, and the 31 that was on the square fenders. And I'll go over the square fenders here in just a minute. But that was all of the information on the new 140 lawn and garden tractor from John Deere. Like I said, that was September of 67 they came out with that. Now, if you go back and look at my other videos, I actually have a tractor that was purchased. I'll just show you the front page right here. I have this tractor right here. It was purchased in August of 1967, and this brochure right here that I showed you actually came with the box of paperwork that came with that tractor. So I'm guessing that Mr. Wayne Smith, who was the owner at some point in time, bought it from John M. Sanderson Company. I can't remember. I don't think that's printed there, but I've got some other paperwork from him. I guess he went back in there for some of the service visits and picked up one of these brochures for the 140. He also picked up several other brochures that you can see there. That's why I think it's really important when you get paperwork with a tractor. I think this brochure right here actually has John Sanderson on the back, as you can see right there. So kind of cool stuff. This brochure stays with this package right here because it's so important in terms of provenance with that machine. So what are some of the other models that came out during the same time? So you've obviously got the 140, and in 1968, so as we're coming up on 2018, in July of 2018, there's going to be a big get-together celebrating 50 years of hydrostatic power for John Deere and garden tractors. But I mean, some of the attachments in this brochure are pretty cool. Certainly stuff that I would like to get my hands on. I have some of it, but I do not have other parts. So the Dan User CD1 postal digger, so on and so forth. The Johnson 12 loader, 10 loader, I guess. Trying to look for, here we go. So here's the full lineup in 1968 lineup. So you've got your 140, your 112, your 110, and then I believe that's a 70, or it may still be a 60. I think that's still a 60. So this was your lineup in 1968. Now at the same time Deere released the 140 lineup, they also released the update to the round fenders. So they carried the 110 and 112 into 1968. And so there's the sales bulletin for that. So really kind of cool stuff. 1968 was a big year for Deere. Went away from the round fenders, got into the square fenders, and they carried this style all the way through 1974. And those of you that have watched my video on my 140, my 140 is actually a very late 1974. And the story I tell people is I actually bought that 140 at auction, and the previous owner was the original owner for it. And unfortunately, I did not get any paperwork. He did not have any paperwork, but I did ask about it. And he told me that he bought it in April of 1975 because he thought the new ones didn't look as good. So this style is very synonymous with John Deere garden tractors, much like the 318 is, starting in 1983. But that's kind of a primer for what came out in 1968. I've actually got some price bulletins. We'll flip through a couple more brochures, stuff like that, and then we'll get into a little bit more of the 140 stuff. So yeah, thanks for watching.